Marine officer in Iraq, and another son who was a 10th Mountain Division officer in Afghanistan. I know we produce no finer people than the men and women who put on their uniform to defend our freedom. They are watching overseas now. God bless you.
Amen.
This isn't about us, it's about you. Your service.
Ground troops to combat ISIS. Is Senator Graham's proposal sufficient?
Wolf, it may be sufficient, but rather than put a number, and I'm comfortable if we say 10,000, 20,000. Look, I think we're telling the I think what we say is it's 3,000 sorties a day, if it's 5,000 sorties a day. We never tell our enemy what our limitations are, what we're willing and what we're unwilling to do. And that's one of the mistakes militarily. Barack Obama cut our defense forces by 25% and leaving us at the least prepared position we've been in since before World War II. We have to get our military rebuilt from the ground up. And all over America, I hear young people say, would you tell me what you're going to do? Will you give me free college? Will you make sure that I can? What I think we ought to tell young people, we're going to give you the opportunity to get off your butt and go serve your country and secure your freedom, because if you don't, nobody else is.
Senator Graham, and I just want to remind our viewers, you want 10,000 U.S. ground troops in Iraq and 10,000 in Syria.
Yeah, one, I just don't make this up, Wolf. I talk to people who are combat trained, who have won in Iraq, who I trust. Here's what I want to tell the Arab world and Turkey. We're not going to send 100,000 troops. You're going to do the fighting this time, and we're going to help you. We paid for the last two wars. You're going to pay for this one. And no, by the way, they get it because ISIL wants to cut their heads off too. The point I'm trying to make is there needs to be a ground component and into the people in my ball, and we be safe. You really don't understand this war.
Governor Huckabee, you have said, as president, you would tell ISIS, and I'm quoting you now, we will take you down and we'll try to get it done in 10 days. Do you really think the U.S. can defeat ISIS in 10 days?
I'd sure want them to think we would, and I'd want to make sure that we did everything we could, but we can't do it with our current military strength. We've got to build up and have the most robust, well-trained, well-equipped, well-prepared, and ample military force in the history of the world, because we're not fighting just a known enemy in one place. We're fighting people all over the world who can go anywhere. And the reason I say that is because if we try to win this war on the cheap, or we try to do it with the quote, light footprint, we're making a huge mistake. When all of us were in grade school, one thing we all knew, the bully never picked on the kid except for the weak one. He never picked on the kid he knew could whip him. And we need to every radical not ours when it's all over, whether it takes 10 days, 10 months, or 10 eternities. We're going to win this fight, and we have to make sure they understand that.
Senator Santorum.
No, look, I'm committed to whatever is necessary, understanding the nature of the enemy. The enemy theocracy is their doctrine, and so we have to understand that doctrine. That's why, you know, I love the fact that people are angry and outraged at Washington and want someone new and fresh, but we need someone who understands and has knowledge and experience in these areas. And you know, I concede that, you know, Senator Graham has that experience. We have a little difference of opinion, but frankly, difference of opinion. Use whatever means necessary.
Ray Odierno. ISIS is a 10 to 20-year problem. How long would you be willing to commit U.S. forces to fight ISIS?
You know, I don't think it's a function of years of going after ISIS. They are out in the open and in cities like Mosul, where we know they have their centers. They have centers that we could bomb. And what we have to do, though, is have a commitment from our government, not just for troops on the ground, but to do whatever we can to help our allies on the ground right now. The Kurds, the Peshmerga, are fighting. We don't give them the equipment, the training, and the support they need because our government insists that all aid go through Baghdad. And Baghdad doesn't want an independent Kurdish army. There are right now Sunni sheiks and tribes in Anbar province taking on ISIS. In fact, they're in the process of reclaiming Ramadi, the provincial capital, this week. They are on our side and they are Sunni, but we are not arming, supporting, training, and helping them as much as we can because all support goes through Baghdad and they don't want a strong, autonomous Sunni area. We have to put just a Baghdad. We have to support those on the ground fighting on our side, give them every bit of help that they want, and to the extent it's necessary for us to send in special ops to destroy those training centers, recruitment hubs, planning hubs, do that. You know, I don't want to occupy a country. I've been to Iraq a couple of times in Afghanistan, and the first time I went, I had an uneasy feeling that when we went there, we were liberators. But as we stayed, we became occupiers. I saw American troops move into some of Saddam's old, hideous marble palaces. And I thought that was exactly the wrong message. We do not have to occupy. We do not have to nation build and try to create a democracy where one hasn't existed. We have to destroy ISIS, protect our safety and our freedom here, and then get out.
Senator Graham, you've called for U.S. ground troops, as we know, in Iraq and Syria.
2 years ago.
As you know, there is a growing ISIS presence right now in Libya.
Yes.
Are you ready to deploy U.S. troops to Libya to try to defeat ISIS there?
I think we need to have a military strategy regarding Libya. They've just taken over Gaddafi's hometown called Sirte. There's about 2,000 of them. Here's what I've learned in my 36 visits. You can't deter these guys. They're ready to die. Bring surgeons. Work with them. Compete with a glorious death. Most young people, folks, want the same thing you do. They don't want to live in the 11th century. So yes, you have to destroy fate. I want to work with, but here's the Germany and Japan. Only God knows what would happen. There would be no ISIL, and I hate what Obama did. He gave away everything we fought for, and I hate what he did. I begged him not to.
Senator Graham,
I've been right more than I've been wrong.
are you ready to commit U.S. ground troops to Libya?
General Keane, do we need militarily to keep them contained and eventually destroy them in Libya? They're in 9 countries. You want to deal with Libya? Go to Raqqa, Syria. You want to prevent another 9/11? Take the caliphate headquarters away from ISIS. The way to do it without going into Syria, we have to be part of that ground force or another 9/11 is coming. Just as sure as I'm standing here, they're planning it tonight. The ISIL leadership wants to hurt you and your family, and if I'm president, they will not get here because we're going to kill them over there.
All right, gentlemen, stand by. The fight against ISIS clearly is sparking new tensions with another superpower. How these candidates would handle Vladimir Putin, that's next.